Back in the chairs on a Tuesday. Good morning, everybody. Paul Ihander with you. Max Goren is back as well. And let's get something out of the way here real quick. So, did something stupid yesterday. No, it wasn't going out and coaching a girls' softball team at 7 o'clock last night, in which I keep messing up my ankle and need to realize that I'm not as young as I used to be. No. It was actually during the show yesterday. And I'm the one to admit completely that when I am not thinking straight and I just spew in this stream of consciousness, kind of, what does Tim Donnelly call it? He calls it verbal salad or just something along those lines. I had that going for me yesterday as we were talking about Jimmy Horn Jr. and Jasim Reed. And I seem to recall myself linking through 23andMe somehow, Jimmy Horn Jr. and Joe Horn. And I know that is not the truth. I know that is not the case. Other than the fact that they share a last name, they do not share chromosomes or blood types or whatnot. Two completely different dudes. J.C. Horn is related to Joe Horn. That's his dad. Joe Horn's his dad. Jimmy Horn Jr. is not. There's just share the last name. And I got called out on it by a handful of people who, again, like to call out things like that, and deservedly so. So for that, I apologize. Not necessarily apologize, but yeah, I was just spewing and streaming and said something that I shouldn't have. And it's not because I'm not paying attention. It's not because I'm not stupid. It's just because something just came out of my head that made sense at the time and somehow didn't make sense. And I shouldn't be apologizing for something that many of you did not hear, but will live on in infamy on the internet. And there's no memes or anything like that. It's just there on the podcast. And I missed it. Swing and a miss. And so there's the mea culpa. The absolute mea culpa. So today we will lead off with the Carolina Panthers, and hopefully I won't say something stupid, but I most likely will, and that's the stuff that makes headlines, right? The things that are stupid. For the Carolina Panthers, though, they didn't do something stupid yesterday. They did something that made a lot of sense and had made sense to many prior to making that signing. And when the phone call went to Darren Waller, who, to be honest, was kind of just sitting around hoping since the Super Bowl that he would get another shot at the NFL and got one, picked up the phone and said, yep, I'll do it. I will play for another season with the Carolina Panthers. Do you jump on that? Absolutely. And even Waller himself yesterday, upon speaking with the media for all of 9 minutes, in which he was incredibly humble, by the way, and a decidedly different player from when I knew him in Las Vegas when he spoke with the media 6-7 years ago, he says he wasn't surprised he had to wait as long to get this call.
Not really. I know people take into account where I'm at age-wise, durability concerns, rightfully so. So I understand that those are things that people take into account when they're mitigating risk. But, I was just allowing the process to be what it was. Sometimes, it can be like I'm doing all this work since the day after the Super Bowl, when is it going to happen? But, uncertainty is kind of the name of the game. I'm new to this free agent situation, but it is what it was, and I'm grateful that it happened in the timing that it did.
That's a professional saying professional football things to professional reporters. He gets it. He played for $5 million last year in Miami, was as productive as he could be while running into camp, really 2 months prior to joining the Dolphins. He was just starting to work out. This year, he believes that by starting to work out after the Super Bowl, and as he mentioned during his interaction with reporters, that he only took 1 week off to go to Iceland, probably to go record a rap album or something. Did you know that he is a rap artist? He makes music. He has his own content team. He is that guy.
He's like Chapel Thrill concert series participant DJ Diesel.
They should invite him. Like, they didn't know that he would be this close. But I would imagine an off week, Darren Waller could come out, lay down a few bars at 10 o'clock in the morning, make things happen. I'd be all for that. Like, take advantage of it while you got it. It may not be here tomorrow. That's the same attitude for Darren Waller, who understands that his time is limited in the NFL. He's entering a crowded tight end room that coaches are all saying the right things about. He even said the right thing, too. Like, right at the end, they had asked him, like, hey, listen, what do you bring? You're tall, you're 6'6". Everyone keeps going, hell, he's 6'6". He's got a big wingspan. He can go out and stretch and make catches. And Waller, to his credit, again, a professional athlete saying professional things in front of professional people, goes, well, there's a lot of guys in this room that have those same traits. We all bring something like that to the table. I can add to that. I think there'll be a really good room here in place. The guy on Instagram yesterday said, no doubt, just keep pounding. He posted to his IG yesterday. Keep pounding. As simple as that. Like, he gets it. He knows that these opportunities, and as he says, whatever it costs to keep pounding, whatever these opportunities are, he's not going to get a lot more of them. Like, he understands that. And I think for fans to understand that too, and the humility that's there, and that's a good thing, and I'm all for that. There will be an attitude on the field that will come with, hopefully, and if he makes this team, relentless with his conditioning and his size and the fact that he can convert in the red zone, which is something that this team needs. You need to be able to cap out drives and close out drives. A guy like this, if you can get the production from last year, but add that Pro Bowl mentality that he had when he was the Raiders 6, 7, 8 years ago, when he started signing big contracts, and then unfortunately kind of things got in the way, personally, professionally, and injury-wise. If he can get back to that, and that conditioning holds him up, you only need a season out of him. Maybe you get 2 out of him with Carolina to help Bryce Young make that ascension. And we talked about it, and I've seen it, and I'm glad there are others that agree with me, that the signing of Darren Waller, when he makes his football team, provides 0 excuses for an offense to execute. 0 excuses for Bryce Young to make throws and make consistent throws and to put this Carolina Panthers team, who won a division title last year, back in that same contention. Because Atlanta's not the team it was last year. Tampa Bay is still trying to figure it out, and they're going to have to figure it out with their number 1 receiver playing across the country in a different uniform. And New Orleans is this enigma wrapped in a riddle, and I believe they just lost one of their receivers yesterday for a few weeks. Jordan Tyson. This division's up for grabs. It's still up for grabs. And whatever the right things are, when you say the right things, whatever the right things are, if you make the right signings, whatever it is, your excuses get limited and limited and limited when you add players of this potential, when you hand big contracts out. Not to Waller. This contract ain't going to be much. This will be $2-3 million again, incentive-laden kind of thing when it all shakes out. I'm talking about the money to Coker. I'm talking about the pondering of the paycheck for Bryce Young, if you're willing to make that happen. You have Chuba Hubbard for pretty much pennies at this point. You've got a backfield that's running on pennies. You invested all your money into the front 5 in the trenches, and then you added a bunch on defense. Like, the excuses are gone. You've run out of them. Which is why, because of the elongated preseason, Dave Canales yesterday said something that I believe we all had hoped for after the abysmal performance on Saturday, that the starters are going to play a lot this week.
The joint practice, they're gonna get a good load. We've been working with Coach Cohen, Shane Waldron, one of my friends from Seattle. We've been going back and forth, just making sure we have throw a great practice and hit some different situations. So, and then the plan is to play them all in the game too. And then of course it just depends on how we come out of today, how we come out of tomorrow, to see where guys are at.
So expect some chippiness tomorrow when they have the joint practice with Jacksonville. That is the team that they will face on Friday night on the road. That game will be on our family station, Mix 101.5. We want the starters to play. There's the 2 sides to every coin when it comes to the preseason. Everybody flips the coin. Everybody sees it. On one side, do you care if the starters perform and do well? The other side is, all right, let's just get some run out there. Make sure that the knees are kneeing, the feet are feeting, and the hands are handsying. That is as simple as you can put it. Those are stupid words, and again, I apologize for stupid things. But I believe this offense needs something in that game against Jacksonville. They need something to hang their hat on, to where when they come back to them late in that game for interviews during the radio broadcast or the television broadcast, that it isn't superlatives, that it isn't about talking about their fiancés or buying a new house or riding horses or playing get to know you better, because we know these guys. It's about, hey, that drive you were 7 for 9 on that drive, or hey, that was a great 10-play drive. You got a couple of touches. How did it feel? Jonathan Brooks. How did it feel to get the ball? Jalen Coker. How did it feel to get around the end there, Jalen Phillips, and actually make another one of those plays that we saw against Buffalo? Like, if you're looking for things that are ahead or behind, you would say right now the offense is behind. Some of it has to do with injury, for sure. Some of it just has to do with they just didn't get enough run in the field. And when you go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, you should be disappointed. I don't care if it's a preseason game or not a preseason game. It still counts in the book. It still goes on tape. When Dave Canales says, I'm going to go back and look at the tape, he's not looking for a 3 and out. He knows what's wrong on a 3 and out. He wants to see 8, 10 plays. Or if it's a 3-play drive, he wants to see the quote-unquote explosive, because we have guys that can do that. But he can't look at tape at 3 and out. What did we do wrong? Well, we just didn't block and create opportunity in the trenches. Okay, great. Doesn't solve anything because you still have to work on that in the following week. X's and O's. If you're just going to do halfback dives and just make that happen for 3 plays or tush push for 3 plays a la Madden 27, it's not a video game out there. There's just not enough tape. I would like to see the offense, and I would demand of this team on offense to put something up against the Jaguars, to do something with the football. Again, I lean on the jet sweep, right? It gets people moving. It gets people rolling and rolling and rolling and moving around. You know I love me a good jet sweep if you've been listening to the show for the past 3 years. Something to create positive momentum as opposed to throwing up your hands again and putting those ghosts in your head going, up, happened again. Up, it happened again. More of the same. More of the same. Nobody wants more of the same. You have 4 games this season to not have more of the same. For sure. Just some sort of positive momentum. We knew he was going to run them out, I believe, against Jacksonville. Didn't feel like it was going to be like some big secret. But now that they've got opportunity, someone needs to seize it and erase all those questions and make those late-game interviews a lot more interesting than what did you eat and how did you spend your summer. That's Max. I'm Paul. Next up here on 99.9 The Fan. Speaking of I know what you did last summer, Darren Waller was asked about the culture of the Panthers.
I mean, I've been welcomed by all the support staff, coaches, players. Everybody's been kind to me since I got here. Just getting introduced to the tight end group, I was really impressed by how well they know their assignments, how well they approach in practice, how hard they work, how composed they are. I think it's going to be a really good group that's going to help me get acclimated, help me learn how to do things, how the whole team does things around here. So I've been impressed by the culture so far.
I wonder if Waller got ruined by Miami last year in the disarray that was the Miami Dolphins. And yeah, he did get hurt. And he did play a number of games. But I don't think he could have said the same thing about that Dolphins coaching staff and that Dolphins team, about how they were assembled and how that was going for them. It's like the Dolphins were much worse record-wise than the Carolina Panthers. They were 7-10 last year. They still managed to squeak out some wins. They still managed to do some things. But you have to wonder that in a positive situation, in a coaching staff that has cohesion, like, nobody poached a Carolina Panthers coordinator in the offseason. If anything, they got elevated with Idzik now, Brad Idzik playing play caller on the offensive side, and Evero still calling out defensive plays. They didn't see that transition like many other teams did. I mean, even the Buffalo Bills had transition, but they overcome a lot of things with talent. But you have to think, if Darren Waller can get into a solid situation once again, and that Raiders situation wasn't the most solid, he just had he had a good quarterback. Like, Derek Carr found him on many occasions. Many, many occasions. He was one of his favorite guys. Those were the Hunter Renfrow years, by the way, in Las Vegas. Hunter Renfrow was there. Third and Renfrow is what Brett Musburger used to call it. Third and Renfrow. Waller was that big play target for them. Like, he just kind of came out of nowhere and said, this is the guy. He became that guy. You wonder, in a right situation with some stability and quarterback set aside, if Bryce Young can get his feet set with Darren Waller and develop some of that chemistry here in short order, perhaps that game in Chicago won't seem so far away. It'll feel like, all right, let's just get there because we're ready to go. I hope the structure is ready for Waller to do big things. He made a proper impression yesterday on me, and hopefully he'll do it again if he gets a chance to play on Friday.
I'm Max Goren with 3 things you need to know right now from 99.9 The Fan. The Carolina Panthers officially signed veteran tight end Darren Waller yesterday, assigning him jersey number 35, according to Mike Kay of ESPN. In a corresponding move, Carolina waived offensive lineman Josh Gray, as well as linebacker Nick Hampton. ESPN's Shams Charania reported yesterday that the Buss family voted to sell their remaining shares in the Los Angeles Lakers to Josh Kushner and Bob Iger, but Jeannie Buss is contesting her siblings' vote. Wanting to remain the controlling owner of the Lakers, Jeannie reportedly did not respond to the family vote on whether to sell the team. After losing last week's series against Memphis, the Durham Bulls hit the road for a series against the Gwinnett Stripers tonight. Bulls coverage is available on 620 AM Buzz Sports Radio, 99.9 FM HD2, and WRAL News Plus, with first pitch scheduled for 6:35 p.m. For all the latest news on your favorite teams, download the 99.9 The Fan app or visit 999thefan.com.
It's not so long ago where we had a lot of American pride when it came to sports. And the America 250 celebration, I was out, I mentioned earlier in the show, I was out coaching the girls softball team that I oversee, that I volunteer coach for, and man, my knees are feeling it. And they still had like an America 250 thing on the back of one of the backstops at our fields out in Rollsville. And maybe that had something to do with some of the American, rah, that had a lot to go with American pride. The World Cup was, just a month ago, really capturing our attention. The Team USA performance at the Olympic Games in Italy, where the U.S. men's hockey team, the toothless Hughes brothers, and Jacob Slavin has a gold medal. Like, there was this, not necessarily pride, but certainly like the feel-good fascination of American sports and what that is. And I bring that up because it feels like it just disappeared. It just went away like in a poof. And as we get geared up here for college football season, and we just spent 15 minutes talking about the Carolina Panthers, there's this interesting little thing on Reddit, and it's called Ask an American. And it's where people from, and to be fair, I think it might be people from the United States asking other people from the United States about stuff. But there are some filters that you can put in there, just self-filters, right? Common sense filters, folks, that you can apply to your daily lives on what is true and what is not. One of the questions that came up, and again, a couple of things triggered this, but this, I just want to get kind of down and dirty to the point here. In the Ask an American Reddit, there's a lot of questions. And one of them is, what's the best American sport to watch? And it was interesting in terms of like entertainment. It was just a straight across, and there are hundreds and hundreds of comments, people weighing in on this. And they go, out of the major American sports, which one do you think is the most entertaining to watch overall? And it's football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever it is. And some of the things right off the top suggest football. On television, not in person, because you don't have to pay attention the entire time, and you get the whole view, and you get the replays. Like, it's not difficult to follow in terms of like learning the game and learning the results and learning what matters. Others dive in and go, it would be impossible to find someone who's never seen hockey, but it might be the best one in terms of live action, in terms of hockey. Because if you had no knowledge of what it is, it's fairly basic. You're always moving. The goal is to put a puck behind someone who's blocking a goal. And in about 2 hours, you're done. There's penalties and whatnot. But, a lot of it has to do with if you know the ins and outs. So if you go to these things, how do you get that fascination back? And in a lot of cases, a lot of it has to come through the eyes of a child. But remember when Europeans came to the United States and they were exploring all these things about, well, I'm at a college football stadium and they're playing soccer at this college football stadium. Or they're being introduced to these, big shrines of sports bars that aren't just two TVs behind a bar, a stack of bottles, and we're all crammed into a small space. I walk in there, there's a giant television in front of me. There's 12 other televisions around me. And they're serving 8,000 types of food. And by the way, I can still throw darts in the corner. I can still play skee ball. I can still win a stuffed animal. And then I walk out of here, and it felt like I was part of a communal experience. And it's more of a question out there that maybe doesn't have a clear, succinct answer. It doesn't have one of those that has to be solved. But I go, how do you create that feel-good part to where the wow factor is still there, to where we're not having to over-wow ourselves, right? So where you go to a football game and it's not, all right, well, so we go to the game, there's a pregame concert, and then there's this autograph signing with the tailgate with a celebrity, and then afterwards we've got fireworks, and it's dress-up day, so everyone's got to wear black, but you all have to be in masks. I'm like, that's all fun, and I love that stuff. I do. Like, my kids eat that stuff up. If you put fireworks in front of them and some sort of animated character night, we're there. We'll be there all day long. But if I have to explain that to somebody outside who's just like experiencing that sport or sports for the first time, they might ask me, why do you need that stuff? You have everything in front of you that you need. I've got a good seat. I've got fairly friendly people around me that aren't there to cause trouble or to cause ruckus. We're all here united under one little bit. Again, I go, where and how do we get that feel good back without having to kind of like fake it through, oh man, I'm glad I got this invite to this thing, or oh man, I'm touring the country again and I'm coming through all these things. And like, we're all excited that foreign visitors to our country find all these things fascinating. I would like to rediscover that for ourselves too. Like that fresh part of sports that we can enjoy. And maybe it's just kind of shedding the inhibition of the expectation. Where you walk into a baseball park and you expect, rainbows to come out of the sky and the mascot to be pooping out Skittles. I know I'm exaggerating here. I'm just looking for the fascination. I'm looking for the feel-good and making it year-round. And yes, not every sport is year-round. It feels like it sometimes with the NFL. It feels like it sometimes with the NHL. It feels like it sometimes with the NBA. Baseball is kind of like the only non-year-round. And to be honest, when it comes to youth sports, it feels like baseball, soccer, softball, basketball, those are year-round endeavors. The good news is that we are finding some ways. And again, I'm not trying to give you answers or look for answers. And I say I was coaching youth sports last night. And the group in front of me, a bunch of T-ball kids who were playing T-ball and coach for the first time. And my group's coming on, and it's all girls. And I had one dad ask me, like, what age did they start when they play at this level? And I said, it's 7. And there was kind of a like, oh, cool. Like, I know when my daughter moves up to play, she can play softball, play with girls of her own age. On the opposite fields, and this is the growth of sports. This is the growth of youth sports and communities that get behind youth athletics. Okay? There's a robust flag football growth in the Triangle. We know this. It's an emerging sport. It's going to be an Olympic sport. And I saw on the field boys and girls playing flag football together and playing with relative ease, playing with the same kind of level because they were there. And for me, that was that feel-good for me. That was a feel-good moment for me. And it's a little bit different. I know I'm a dad. I've said this. I got 2 kids. There is that feel-good moment, seeing other kids enjoy sport. Enjoy what it means to score a touchdown. Enjoy what it means to play with friends. Because kids these days play much different. Much like adults these days, right? If you're an adult, be honest with yourself. How hard is it to make friends? If you don't have a group of friends that you regularly get up with, step outside your little family group, right? Step outside that family group. How difficult is it to make an adult friend? And the same way is for kids. How difficult is it to make friends outside of just regular activity? That's tough. That's a tough endeavor.
It's a good reason to play sports, though. I mean, I think that's a really good avenue especially for adults that are, looking to make new friends and to experience new kind of social groups, is sign up for a recreational sport of some kind. I know so many people that play, kickball or softball. I play hockey. Obviously, that's a little bit more of a barrier of entry for that, just because it's a little tougher and there's a lot of equipment and everything
you have
like
to know how to
that.
skate.
You got to find a team and everything like that. But there's other ones that are easier to get into: rec basketball, soccer. All these leagues are around. I'm speaking of Raleigh, but I'm sure this is true of almost any city, right? Like they'll have some kind of adult recreational league that you can go sign up and join, and that is a really good way to meet new people and to make new friends as an adult. And it's even, like you mentioned, tougher for kids. I think after COVID, it's become tougher for people to kind of get out there into social circles in public.
They play games online. Kids
And
play
meet
games
people,
online.
yeah.
They don't go to each other's houses.
It's all about the internet now. So sports is a great avenue for that. It's not just an avenue for getting a workout, getting exercise, and your personal health, but for your your mental and social wellness as well. So I agree that maybe that sense of wonderment and feel good is not always there as you get older, but you kind of just have to allow yourself to buy into either whatever it is you're doing, whether you're spectating or whether you're playing. Like if you come into it with the right attitude, it still has that feel good sense of wonderment that you're looking for to get out of sports. So that's like for me too. I love trying to go to the big time venues. I can think of just the last couple of months. I guess it's not a little bit longer ago now, but when I got to go see Manchester City in England, that took me back. I felt very much like a kid again. Or when I visited Allen Fieldhouse to see Kansas play basketball, you can't help but be taken back and be appreciate the magnificent energy of the sport and how meaningful it is to you. So as long as you got that attitude at heart and you're willing to accept and let yourself kind of feel that childlike wonder again, it's still there. It'll always be there. You just have to let it happen.
Many of you just have to answer that question for yourselves. Just a little food for thought on this Tuesday.